Welcome to part number 3 of the Legend of Zelda Swordless challenge. Now before heading to any given temple, make sure you stop by a Great Fairy Lake to restore all of your health. It's always nice to go into a dungeon with full health. An alternate way of doing that is just drinking a red potion right before you enter the dungeon. However, I wouldn't recommend doing that because potions are expensive and you kind of want to save them in case you run low on health in the dungeon. You want 2 potions in the dungeon. In case you mess up horribly, you're not having a good day, you're just playing terribly, whatever the reason is. I think in this playthrough I only used the potion once, and I'm pretty sure that's in the final dungeon. So, the challenge isn't too hard, especially if you collect all the necessary items, like all the heart containers and such. It makes it a whole lot easier. Now, a core mechanic in this Legend of Zelda game is that there's 2 types of enemies. There are red enemies and blue enemies. Now, they're pretty much identical, except for the fact that blue enemies have more health than red enemies. This usually isn't a problem, like for those Octoroks or the Moblins we saw in the forest, but for some enemies, like the Dark Nuts, it is a huge problem. They take a lot more hits to defeat. And with Dark Nuts, you have to defeat them in a specific way because you don't have the sword. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Dungeon 2 really isn't that interesting. There's not much to say about it. One thing you need to keep in mind is that you need to save some bombs for the boss of the dungeon. 3 bombs should be good enough to kill the boss, so make sure you save some of them. Because if you don't save any, obviously you are not going to defeat the boss, and that's no good. Otherwise, the dungeon is just filled with typical enemies. You got your snakes, which are called rope, and then these moblins. Nothing too special. Make sure you have a nice stock of rupees, so when you come into this dungeon, you can just use your arrows over and over again. Because 1 arrow costs 1 rupee, so yeah, make sure you come in with at least 50. 50 should be enough, especially since some enemies, they drop rupees, so 50 should be enough. When you enter this room, kill all of the blue moblins, and you will be rewarded with the magical boomerang. Now, the magical boomerang is just like the regular boomerang, except it can travel farther. It's not really that useful. I don't think I use it very much in this playthrough. I might use it a few times to kill some slime enemies. Maybe, I'm not sure, I don't remember. I think I use it once or twice, but I'm not quite sure. And look at this. Dodongo dislikes smoke. Okay. Thanks for the handy tip, old man. That's a pretty vague hint. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Just kill these remaining moblins, and then the boss should be right above this room, I think? If I remember correctly, anyway. Whenever enemies drop items, make sure you collect them. Collect all their rupees, all their hearts. I know it sounds a bit easier to remember, or like something you would do naturally, but make sure you remember to do it, because you don't really want to stock up on rupees in between dungeons, just because it's tedious playing that money-making game. It's painful, and nobody likes to do it. And I don't think I have to do that ever again. Maybe, no, I don't think so. So, I'll see you in part number 3, where we will head to the next dungeon.